continue with our media availabilities for today. We're now joined by Brad Keselowski, driver of the number 6 Ford for RFK. If you have a question, please raise your hand and we will get a mic to you. We'll start down here with Daniel.
Superman. Well, good.
So Dale McFadden, Frontstretch.com, got 2 questions for you. First, Brad, what is the outlook that you feel like is for RFK racing going into these last 5-6 races before the playoffs start? How do you guys feel right now?
Yeah, you know, we have the 3 teams with the 6, 17, and 60. The 17 looks to be in a really good position to point their way in. You know, they've had really strong runs, very solid. Really proud of the performance of that team. The 60 is kind of like right on that fringe, you know, with any new winner. I think they would have to win. But it should be a strong stretch of races. And then the 6 car clearly just has to win a race. So, you know, we'd like to win with all 3 of them and not have to worry about it. That would be kind of the ideal situation. We've been, you know, on the fringe of that. I think we have a handful of, I think we have 2nd place finish with all 3 of our cars. So need to convert those into wins to kind of solidify our position. But the last month has been really positive. I think all 3 cars have shown a lot of potential, and we've kind of hit our swing and stride. So excited to see what comes of that with these races in front of us all being, you know, fairly traditional races that we can hopefully just punch on through with a win.
All right. Second question. Oh,
sorry, go ahead.
Second question. I've been waiting like a month and a half to ask you this.
Oh, boy.
No, this is the first chance I've gotten to ask you a question since the video came out of you and Kyle Busch promoting the return of the championship race to Homestead. I just wanted to ask, like, what was it like for you filming that with him after all of these years? And are you too close to being able to sit down and bury the hatchet over Miller Lite and M&M's?
Well, you know, actually, we've flown together a lot lately, which is kind of fun. I'll save those stories for a book one day. But no, I'm just kidding. You know, I think we're both in a position where it's hard to have a rivalry, you know, and I've said this, I think, throughout all of my career, when, you know, you're not competing for wins, right? You know, and right now, neither of us have been consistently in a spot where we're competing for wins. And so any type of rivalry is really just a distraction where both of us are just trying to get our programs better. So I would say that there's definitely a backseat to all of that. You know, he's got his things that he's going through. We got the things we're going through. I would love to rekindle that rivalry because in my eyes, what that would mean is that we're competing each other for wins. I always tell our people, like, you know, you have disagreements throughout the year. Like, you don't get in a fight over 15th place finishes, you know, like that actually should be the NASCAR rule. Like, if you get in a fight and you're not running in the top 10, like, you're out of here. Like, I don't have any room for that. But, you know, when you're running up front, those are the kind of good rivalries. And, you know, I don't think the 2 of us have seen each other much up front. When he's up front, I'm not up front and vice versa. So, you know, I'd love to see that rekindled because I think it would mean we're both running really well.
So what was it like filming that commercial with him?
No, it was good. I think we walked in to the suit room very cold. And actually, once we got filming, it was really good. The film crew was really great. And they kind of helped work through it. And by the end, I think we were bouncing things off of each other and just having fun with it. And then, you know, we kind of parted like it never happened. But no, it was interesting. No problem, David.
We've got about 5 minutes with Brad, so if we could just keep it to one question, I'll get to you guys, as many of you as I can. Go to Jordan, and then to Lee, and then to Deb.
Jordan Bianchi, The Athletic. This is a more traditional track, but this is also a track that opens up the playbook in terms of strategy and the like. We saw that a year ago. Considering your position in points, how aggressive are you guys going to be in how you lay out this race?
Yeah, I mean, I think we were really aggressive last year and almost won the race. You know, and I wouldn't expect anything to change there. You know, we've got no reason not to be very aggressive. Certainly don't want to just do dumb things just to do them, but, you know, this is a race that lends itself to aggressive calls and aggressive moves on the track and more importantly off the track with the pit strategy. So I suspect the winner will be a part of that story. No problem.
Go ahead, Lee.
Lee Spencer, SiriusXM NASCAR Radio and CatchFence.com. How did winning this race kind of affect your life?
You know, I felt like I think I won this race in 8 19, and it was a 3-race stretch that was just phenomenal. You know, I won here, Darlington, I think Las Vegas, all 3 in a row, and you know, to get 2 majors in 3 weeks was really special. You know, it kind of made up for a few that I feel like I fumbled. You know, I fumbled this race away in 12 and 17, and probably made up for it in 18. So I didn't really deserve to win the race in 18. Just, you know, really put together a great race, and we had great strategy, and I made the right moves at the end. So it felt good. It was kind of felt very much like a redemption arc. And it made me a lot hungrier to win the Daytona 500. Not that I wasn't hungry before, because, you know, it's the last one I don't have on the majors list, but it was nice to cross this one off.
We'll go to Deb and then Kelly.
Deb Williams, Auto Week. Brad, decades ago, Neil Bonnet commented that a driver normally peaked between ages 35 and 45. Do you think that that peak is earlier now due to the fact that people are starting earlier and because of the technology and sim and everything that's available?
Yeah, I mean, some things have kind of changed along the way. You know, I think a couple pieces that stand out to me, you know, if you look at statistically, yeah, it's right around that 40 mark, and we've got all kinds of statistics, but there's always exceptions, you know, Mark Martin, Harry Gant, and lately it's kind of been Denny Hamlin. But, you know, I think when you have great cars, you know, it's easy to stay motivated. It's easy to stay hungry. It's easy to look at it and kind of find that drive that it takes to compete at a high level. You know, I was having this kind of joke session with Joey Logano last week. You know, I think he made his 600th start or 700. I can't remember what number it was last week at Dover. And, you know, the question everybody asked him was, well, how much longer are you going to go? And every race car driver, I think, answers that question the same way, as long as you feel like you can win, right? And, you know, you go through these stretches where, you know, you're winning and you're super competitive, and you're like, oh, I'll go until my body fails me, right? And then you have a stretch of bad races where nothing seems to be going right, whether your fault or not, and you're like, I don't want to do this no more. Like, I think those are natural ebbs and flows that you kind of work through, and you got to find your own motivation. That motivation changes throughout your career. At least I feel that way. You find different things that motivate you, or you have to find them if you want to stay a part of it. I know my motivations have changed over the years, and that's okay. But, you know, I guess I'm kind of tying this all back into the thought that, like, if I go out here and run really well and have a shot to win, I'll walk back in the garage area and say, I've probably got 10 more years left. You know, it's a very strong emotional roller coaster being a race car driver. No problem.
We have time for one more from Kelly.
KellyCrandallRacer.com. Brad, this kind of piggybacks off of that, and you mentioned Denny. So Denny at 44 has 4 wins this year. He just signed a 2-year extension. I'm curious, for those of us who don't drive race cars, can you explain why is a driver winning into his 40s and doing something, using Denny as an example, performing as he is? Can you explain, as a race car driver, why is that notable? Why should that be maybe celebrated more than it is? Or just why is it noteworthy to see drivers who can continue to perform like that?
Yeah. You know, you look at Joe Gibbs Racing and their driver lineup over the last decade, and I think he's the only one that's still there. Is that right? Over the last decade? You know, Joe Gibbs Racing is a clear Tier 1 Cup organization, you know, top of the totem pole with their OEM. They've made it count with years of success. You know, being a part of that and enduring, you know, whatever ebbs and flows there are, and I don't know all of Denny's ebbs and flows, but, you know, I see some of them from the peripheral. You know, crew chief changes, pit crew changes, sponsor changes, management changes. Being able to endure all that and stay hungry and stay motivated is really hard to do, on top of just staying on top of your racecraft with, you know, new race cars and new tracks. And it's something that should be celebrated and lauded, and I think those are the reasons for it.
All right, Brad, thanks for your time today, and good luck this weekend.
Thank you, guys. Good to see you.